So today we're talking about audio recording, and we're going to kind of continue talking about our tools and stuff like that we talked about yesterday. So I'll probably pull up yesterday's notes. Actually, while I'm here, why don't I just go ahead and pull up yesterday's notes as well. And that was the Pro Tools intro review, like the overview, stuff like that. So we're going to be talking about both those things today and kind of going over what we talked about yesterday. Just real quick, just a little review about what we talked about. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to go in here and I'm going to create a new one. So just kind of quickly going over what we talked about in the previous lesson. We're going to call this session today audio recording. It does not need to be capitalized. And your class is 2105 A1. So down here, remember, if you remember correctly, just make sure you've got the WAV file 44.1. You don't need it to be 48 or anything like that. Oh, why is that showing like that? Hold on a second. Let me see what's going on. Hold on, cancel. I'm going to go ahead up here and change my playback engine. Oh, because it was set for headphones. I really need this to be Pro Tools Aggregate, which we're going to talk about here in a little bit. That should be good there. Really what you want to do is you want to set that playback engine before you kind of open up a session, because with Pro Tools, unlike other DAWs, what happens is when you change the playback engine, it does have to like shut down and restart the session, which is kind of annoying, to be honest. But that's how Pro Tools works. So I got that. Now I'm going to hit Command N or Control N if you're on a Windows machine to go ahead and get a new session up. And I'm going to call this one audio recording and 2105-A1. And now we should be able to go down here and change the, yeah, cool. Now I've got more options here. I'm not going to use these options, but it's just good to know that I've got them because now I know I'm on the correct audio interface, which is just something you can kind of see once you get enough experience with this stuff. It's not really anything that's like easy to define. Just some audio interfaces have more options than others. So like, for example, my UAD audio interface has up to 182 or 196 rather, and this one right now with the microphone and stuff only goes up to 96. So if I've got my UAD plugged in, I know that I should have a couple more options here. And just depending on what your audio interface is, you'll have more options or less options or something like that. So you'll start to get a feel for what this should look like here. I'm just going to keep it at 44.1 though. And then our IO settings, we're going to use stereo mix, bit depth 24-bit. Remember, interleaved. When in doubt, check interleaved. That's a good one to always just make sure you check. Location, Pro Tools projects, great, hit create. It's going to go ahead and put it in the right place for me. Now, when I go in here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and just go ahead and create a new track. Let's create a mono audio track, and I'll call this one Tony 01. And it's going to be mono. I want it to be mono. I'm going to go ahead and do a regular mix, not a narrow mix. And I'm going to go in here and just make sure what we've got here in our audio interface here. The input audio interface, MacBook Air microphone 1, good. And our output external headphones, good. We should be good with that. If I go ahead in here and let me hit mute. Let me hit the I button. Check 1, 2, check, check. If I unmute this, hey, check, check, check. Okay, so you can hear that we can hear the voice going through. You should be able to hear the kind of echo there, which is what Pro Tools is hearing with this. So everything seems pretty fine. Check 1, 2. Okay, it's not that. What is this? This one? No. Check, 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 check. Okay, it's over here. It's in the computers where my microphone is. That's fine with me. I don't really need anything special. I'll put my head close to it. But we can change that later, and I'm going to show you how to change that. So I'm going to go ahead and turn that off for right now. So what we're going to do here is let's take a look at these notes, and let's just dive in deeper to this playback engine. You saw me kind of mess with it here, but let's talk about what we're actually looking at. So the playback engine, this is where you set up your interface, your audio interface for Pro Tools. Now the audio interface is whatever you have connected to your computer. Remember a few days ago, we talked about audio interfaces, and I was telling you that basically anything that converts your analog to digital and digital to audio, anything that's converting audio to go into and out of your computer, that is your audio interface. Things that you don't even think have an audio interface have an audio interface. That might be a little bit of a confusing thing to say, but basically your phone has an audio interface, your iPad has an audio interface, my watch, if it makes sound, it has an audio interface. If I can play music from this, it has an audio interface. If I've got my computer has an audio interface. No matter what kind of computer, if it has a headphone jack or if it's got speakers, it has an audio interface. Now, that's the blanket rule. Realistically, we think of audio interfaces as something that actually allows us to plug in microphones and stuff like that. That's really what we're going to call audio interfaces. But I just want you to understand, anytime you've got audio going in and out of your computer, technically that is an audio interface. But really, the ones we're going to really be concerned about, because that just comes with your computer. You don't need to worry about it other than to know that it's not great. It's okay, but it's not great. So if you want to up your game, you're going to buy another audio interface, something like that. Something, the more money you spend, generally, the higher quality it's going to be. Generally, there are other factors that come into play, which we can discuss later on Zoom. But the audio interface is a big part of your system. So if you can, if you get a 2-channel audio interface, 2 ins, 2 outs, and you spend like $1,000 on that, like RME has some audio interfaces that cost like a lot of money. Apogee has the Duet, which costs about $600 just for stereo in, stereo out. That's going to be really good. And what you're paying for there is you're paying for the digital analog conversion, and you're also paying for your preamps. Those are the 2 main parts that are going to make that expensive. Otherwise, audio interfaces can cost like $100 or 150, something like that. And those are going to be okay. They're better than nothing. They're better than just what's built into your computer, but they're not amazing. So the more you can spend on an audio interface, usually it's going to be higher quality. Of course, there are caveats to that. But where we set up our audio interfaces has to do with in the playback engine. And Brianna says, is it just me or does the writing on the Pro Tools screen look blurry? I'm having trouble reading the smaller print. You talking about on mine here? This one here? Yeah, this might look a little bit blurry because this is like a screenshot from something. It may actually, I think this one that you're looking at here was actually a photo that I took because the computer I did this from didn't have a way to screenshot stuff. So I think what we're looking at here is actually a photo that I just took of the monitor. So it may be a little bit blurry, but that's okay. We're gonna actually look at this in Pro Tools, and I'm gonna zoom in. It's gonna look a lot better in just a second. This is just kind of an overview. So also, if you pull up the notes, then it should look better. This Pro Tools screen here should not look blurry though. If I look at the playback engine here, this should be crystal clear. Hopefully this is crystal clear. If I zoom in like that, you should be like, whoa, okay, cool. So, but it depends on by what you mean by blurry, because everybody has a different definition of what blurry is. Pip says it might be your buffering. It doesn't seem blurry on mine. So it might be something to do with that. If everything is looking blurry, like if all this writing is looking blurry, then you may want to check something on your end of things, Bree, because this other stuff should be pretty clear. Anyway, let's just continue with this. So the setup playback engine, where this is, it's in here in Pro Tools. Let me just go and show you. If we go up to the top, and it doesn't matter which window, which screen you're in, right over here, like this. Doesn't matter if you're in the edit window or the mix window. They both have the setup menu across the top. And I click on this and we go down here to playback engine. This is the only place where you can change the playback engine or what other software calls the audio engine. So other software will have it in the preferences section. That's very important when you talk about like Logic or Ableton Live, FL Studio. It's usually in the preferences. Sometimes they have a specific audio preferences. Sometimes they don't. It just kind of depends on the software. But in Pro Tools, it's under Setup Audio Playback Engine. So here it is. Click on that, and now there it is. It pulls up this screen for us, and this screen has a few different options in it that we can look at. So first of all, our playback engine here is right here. This is really the audio interface that's connected to your computer. So you can see here that I have. It thinks I have 3 microphones connected. It thinks I have 2 headphones connected. I've got the Macbook Air speakers. I've got the Irion webcam audio, which is like a piece of software. I've got this education setup, which is something, and then I've got the Zoom audio device. Now, the one that you want would be, like, if I have my UAD, what's it called? The UAD Apollo Twin plugged into my computer, that would show up here. Anything that's connected to your computer currently, or anything that's loaded into your computer's software, is going to show up right here in this list. If it's not connected to your computer, or if you think it's connected but it's not working the right way, it's not going to show up here. So if you have something plugged into your computer but it's not showing up in this list, you need to go troubleshoot that. Keep that in mind. If you think you have your audio interface connected to your computer but it's not showing up in this list, you have to fix that. And that's going to be fixed somewhere else. Either the cable is bad, or it's not plugged in like you thought it was, or it's not powered on. There could be a number of reasons for that, but you need to go and fix that. So just be aware of that. Now, we've got a couple in here that are actually software. And one of the cool things that you can do with computers these days, especially on the Mac computers, I don't know how easy it is to do on the Windows machines, but on the Mac computers, you can actually use software to tell your computer to, like, it's kind of like tricking your computer that you've got some hardware connected up to it, but it's actually software that's running internally. And what that software can do is it can actually connect different pieces of software together, or it can also connect different pieces of hardware together. So how I'm using it is, you can see I've actually got several microphones connected up here and several headphones connected up here. That's not exactly accurate. It's kind of accurate. What I've got is I've actually got a microphone here on the side. That's what you're hearing me on in OBS. And that's connected into my headphone jack. Now, the headphone jack on this computer can go in and out. It can serve as headphones and a microphone. This microphone I've got has a headphone jack on it, so I can actually do everything through this one microphone. But then I also have another kind of a hub that's got another headphone jack built into it. And then for some reason, my computer thinks I have a third microphone plugged into it. I'm not really sure what that is. I don't know why that's showing up there, but it is. Then I've also got here the MacBook Air speakers, which are the hardware on here. And then I've got some other stuff in here, but some of these are multiple hardware. Some of this is software. This Pro Tools Aggregate Io is actually software, and we're going to talk about this here in just a moment. I've also got this thing here called Education Setup. Now, this Education Setup, just so you know, full disclosure, is this program called Loopback, and Loopback allows me to actually route audio from different programs through other programs. So this is how I can set up my OBS so that you can hear if I'm using Ableton Live or Pro Tools or playing Spotify, something like that. It's because everything is routed through Loopback. If you want to learn more about Loopback, we can definitely talk about it sometime. For right now, I'm just going to go ahead and quit out of the program because it's a lot more. There's a lot more to it. So for now, we're using the Pro Tools Aggregate Io. Now, what this is, let me just skip ahead here a little bit and show you what this is. That's this thing right here. The Pro Tools Aggregate Io can combine any audio interfaces you have connected to your computer. So, for example, Pro Tools will see my headphone out and my microphone in as two separate devices. Even though for us it might be one device, the way that the Apple computers are set up and also Windows machines, depending on the software, sees these as two separate devices. Well, Pro Tools Aggregate can take those and combine them into one device. So if I have, like, Pro Tools only allows you to use one device for your input and your output. Some things like Logic, Ableton Live, FL Studio, they allow you to actually assign two separate devices, one for the input, one for the output. But Pro Tools does not allow you to do that. So the Pro Tools Aggregate, what it does is it takes everything and it puts it into one device. So Pro Tools sees that one device. This can include whatever. It can include anything you want. It can include any DAW, any microphone in, any audio interfaces, inputs, outputs. If you have 5 different audio interfaces connected to your computer, it will see all of them, which is pretty darn cool. So here's how we set it up. We actually have to set this up outside of Pro Tools. So what you would do, if you want to set up your Pro Tools Aggregate device, you go into Applications, Utilities, Audio-MIDI Setup. And where that lives on your computer is, I go in here, I make a new window here. I'm going to go to my Applications. Here's all my applications I have on my computer, tons and tons of stuff. Utilities. And then inside of here, I've got the Audio-MIDI Setup right here. This program is actually quite important when you're using, when you're making like music with your computer, producing on your computer, mixing on your computer. So I actually keep this program in my dock over here on the left-hand side. Where is it? It's up here, right here. This is where my Audio-MIDI Setups lives, right over here, because I use it quite a bit. So we can open it from here. When you open it, it'll show you one of two windows. You can show the Midi Studio or the audio devices. So the Midi Studio on mine looks like this, and the audio devices looks like this. Depending on what you're doing with it, you're going to use one of the other windows. We're going to talk about the Midi Studio later, not today. So now over here on the left-hand side, it shows me everything that's currently connected up to my computer. And you can see here, it's got my microphone that has 2 ins and 0 outs. It's got my headphone jack, my headphone that's 2 outs. It's got my external microphone, which is 1 in and 0 outs, 0 outs, which is what we're currently using. It's got my external headphones, which is 2 outs, which I think this here is this Thunderbolt dock that I've got. I'm not sure why it says it's got a microphone, because it doesn't have a microphone, or actually maybe the port in it actually serves as a microphone and a headphone jack. Then I've got my MacBook Air speakers. I've got my MacBook Air microphone, which is the stuff that's built into my computer. I've got my webcam audio here, which is like something I can use for my phone to turn it into a webcam. I've got my Pro Tools Aggregate Io, which is what we're going to talk about in just a second. I've got my education setup, which is from my loopback. And then I've got my Zoom audio device. Now, this list of stuff right here is what Pro Tools is seeing. If I go back to Pro Tools, there you go. That list is what we're actually looking at right here. It's just now I can see what's connected to each thing. And if I click on my Pro Tools Aggregate, this now shows me another list of all my hardware that's connected to the computer. And I can click on this to select anything that's actually connected and put it into the aggregate device. So once I click a button and I put it into my aggregate device, now it's actually going to see it in Pro Tools. So let's go ahead and do this. Let's go ahead and add in the external microphone. Now, once I do this, Pro Tools is going to complain, because Pro Tools is going to say, hey, your actual physical setup has changed because I've changed something. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and go to external microphone here, click on that, and I'm going to turn off the MacBook Air microphone because I don't really want that one. There we go. And I'm going to close this out. I'm just going to go ahead and quit this. And in here, oh, it didn't complain. Okay, well, I thought it was going to, oh, there we go. Selecting this playback engine will automatically save and close your session. The session will be reopened when you are done changing settings. Are you sure you want to proceed? The reason why it's saying that is because I changed something in my Pro Tools Aggregate. So I'm just going to go ahead and click yes. Pro Tools is going to close. It's going to save the session, close it. And then once I'm done setting stuff up in here, it's going to reopen it. When it reopens it, the microphone it's using should be the same microphone that I'm speaking to you from. So it should sound better than that microphone I had before. So before we do that though, let's go ahead and just check out a couple of these other settings in here. The hardware buffer size is right here. So this is where we can change the buffer size. We'll come back and talk about that buffer size in just a moment. The host engine optimized performance at low buffer sizes. I think I'm going to turn that one off. Ignore errors during playback and record. I'm going to leave that one on. Dynamic plugin processing, leave this one on as well. Optimized performance at low buffer sizes is if you're really concerned about your latency. Latency is like the distance between when you say something and when you hear it come back to you. That's the latency. Again, we're going to talk about latency in detail in just a moment, but let's just come through this. The video engine, I do not need that on right now because I'm not doing anything video with Pro Tools. If you have Pro Tools on your computer right now and you have the video engine enabled, go ahead and disable it. You do not need that checked. Over here, the disk playback cache size, there's a normal setting here. I like to set mine for as high as possible. I only have 16 gigabytes of RAM on this computer. I do not have 32 gigabytes of RAM. So I'm going to set this for a low number, like 4 gigabytes. If you only have 8 gigs of RAM on your computer, probably just keep this set to normal and hopefully Pro Tools will make it work correctly. If you're ever wondering how much RAM your computer is using, there is a program in the utilities called Activity Monitor. I can click on this and it shows me down here how much memory I'm currently using. With all the software that I have open right now, you can see what it's doing. I've got, why is Firefox using stuff? Do I have Firefox even? Oh, I do have Firefox open. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and quit Firefox. I don't want that one using my memory. So once you see that, see, it took away some of my memory down here that I'm using, which is good. We want to use as little memory as possible. If I want to save more memory, I could close Spotify. I've got OBS is using 1 gig, Pro Tools is using almost a gig, Windows Server, which is how many different windows and stuff I've got open, Spotify Helper, the renderer. I'm actually going to quit out of, well, I'll leave it open because we're doing good on memory. If you're really concerned about your memory, and Brianna, this is kind of why I was telling you if you can get a computer with 16 gigs of RAM, it's better, is because of all this right here. Because we can see on this particular machine, right now, because I'm broadcasting through OBS, I've got a whole bunch of things open at the same time. I'm using a lot of memory. It's better to use less memory if you can for when you're using Pro Tools, or just have more RAM. Right now, more RAM is not really an option because the M1 chips can only have 16 gigs of RAM. Is that optimal? No. Once I get a chance to, once the new M2 chips or the M1X chips come out later on this year, I'm probably going to sell this computer and buy a new computer. So, oh, you just got the computer. Awesome. Cool. We'll talk about it in Zoom. I'd love to see it and help you get it set up and everything. So let's go back over here to our playback engine. What I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. What that's going to do is it's going to close everything down and it's going to reopen my session is what it should do. Anyway, let's see. There we go. Yep, cool. Okay, it's doing it. Good. So it says the I/O layout of the audio hardware has been changed by another application. Pro Tools will now close and reopen the session in order to update the new settings. Do you want to save the session before closing? You can say yes or no. I haven't changed anything. If it says this to you, just hit go ahead and do it. It's just Pro Tools has to go through some things, and it might say it again. Sometimes it says it a couple times. That's just Pro Tools being Pro Tools. Do I love it? No. Do I have to deal with it? Yes. So all that stuff is like that. Now, if we go back in here, I'm going to go back into my playback engine. And now we should be pretty okay. We're going to come back here and talk about this hardware buffer size in just a second. But before we do, let's just check this out and make sure everything's good. So I'm going to go in here to this one here. This just says MacBook Air microphone, which is not what it is. I'm actually going to change this. And we're going to go into our I/O settings just to see what's actually going on, because it's using the words, but now I don't think it's actually correct. We got our output here is external headphones, and we'll talk about the I/O setting another day. The MacBook Air microphone. Here, let's see. Let's hit OK. Let's see if we can change that up. I'm going to do this. I'm going to go ahead and let's go back into our Audio-MIDI setup. Open that back up again. And external microphone here. Good. External microphone. Yeah, cool. Okay, so I can't rename it here. I can rename this. I can double click on this and rename it microphone. I'm just going to keep it as mic 1. Left and right here. Okay, so let's go ahead and quit that. Go back into Pro Tools because I want to act better. I'm going to go ahead and save it. And let's close it out. Command Shift W to close it out. I'm going to go to my setting, set up playback engine, and we should be good in here. Let's just see what happens. Maybe I can rename that. So let's go to my I/O settings, and I'm going to go in here. I'm going to rename this one mic 1. Let's see what happens. I'm going to go to my bus over here. I'm going to click default to make sure we're good. We should be good. Okay. Looks pretty good to me. So we'll go back into Pro Tools. We're going to open up that session we just had open, audio recording 2105. Now, you might be looking at this going, oh my gosh, this is a lot. And it is a lot. Back when I first started using Pro Tools and I ran into any problems like this, it took me a long time to learn what I was doing with this. Unfortunately, there's not an easy solution. My advice is, whenever you have a problem like this, try to fix it on your own, because this is one of those things that completely sucks, But the more you know how to do it, the faster you are with it, the more useful you're going to be in a session. Because I'm at the point now where I'm in a session, if something like this goes wrong, I know about 10 ways to fix things. The only reason I know 10 ways to fix things is because I've encountered almost every problem. If you come to me with a problem and I'm like, I've never seen that problem before, that's not me just being lazy. That's me being like, yeah, that's like something weird. My first step would always be to restart the machine. Because I've seen so many problems. I've been doing this for, with Pro Tools, I've been doing this for like 23 years at this point. So that's a long time. I've encountered many, many problems. My advice to you as a young producer, young engineer trying to get started with this stuff is when you encounter problems, don't run to someone else immediately. Try to look it up on Google or DuckDuckGo or whatever you use. Try to look it up on the internet and see if you can find the solution, because you working through the solution yourself is going to do two things. One, you're going to learn how to troubleshoot and problem solve. That's probably one of the most important things you can learn as a music producer, as a music engineer. Two, you're going to be learning the ins and outs of the program in a very deep way. If you just come to me and I walk you through it, that's fine. That'll get the problem solved. If you're in like a really tight position where you've got a client like breathing down your neck, that's the time to call your friends and have them walk you through it. But if you're at home, you're just kind of working on stuff and then something happens, my advice is don't call somebody, try to work it out yourself, because that's going to actually ultimately be more beneficial to you in the long run. Anyway, okay, so we got this here. Let's go into our IO here, input, mic 1. Great, it says mic 1 because I just labeled it mic 1. Now let's see what this is sounding like. Let's go ahead. I'm going to mute it first. Check 1, 2. Check, 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 check. Great. Okay, that's definitely coming from this microphone. If I listen to it, check 1, 2. Hey, check, check 1, 2. Great. So we can hear that it sounds better than it did before, right? This microphone's, even though this is only a $35 microphone, it's like a microphone that you buy on Amazon for like being a blogger, right? Which I guess I'm a video blogger person at this point, right? So I bought one of those just to see what it would look like. It's a little tiny shotgun microphone, and it actually does the job okay. It's good enough for these videos. It sounds pretty good. It works pretty well. So I've been using this thing for the past, since I came to Columbia. I got it right before I came to Columbia. I really like it. It's very portable. I can show you all my whole setup here one day, but it definitely sounds way better than the microphone in my MacBook Air, as you can tell. Also, this room that I'm in is seriously just a blank room. It's just, the only thing on the wall here is that blue piece of wood behind me and a TV. There's literally no kind of nothing. There's no like things hanging on the wall. There's nothing going on here. So it's just literally bouncing the sound all around me, which it is what it is. Okay. So now I've got this set up correctly. Let's go take a look at our hardware buffer size here. Now, the hardware buffer size is how much time the computer is given to think about things. That's what the buffer size is. Think about this. If I give you a math program and I tell you you have 5 seconds to figure it out. If I give you a really simple math problem, like 2 plus 2, you'd say 4, right? You don't even need 5 seconds. But if I said 530 times 7, well, then you might need more time. If you're really good with math, maybe you only need 5 seconds, okay? But if I say 5,462 times 3,200,012, then you probably need more than 5 seconds. Maybe you even need a calculator, right? So you're gonna break. You're gonna be like, and if then somebody else says to you multiple things, if somebody says, hey, what's the recipe for cookies? What's the how do you get to this place over here? How do you do that? How do you do that? How do you do that? Well, you can't answer everything at the same time. You can't even think of everything at the same time. And that's what our computer is doing as well. Now, computers can think of multiple things at the same time. They can do what we call parallel processing, especially modern computers. But the more difficult stuff you throw at them, the more it's going to kind of like bog them down, just like us. So the buffer size is basically that time frame that we give the computer to think about stuff with our programs like this. So if I say to the computer, you have this much time to think about it, and I only want you to record my voice. Well, the computer can do that no problem. Or maybe I say, computer, I want you to play a song, like a stereo file, while I record my voice. The computer's like, no problem, I can do that. Playing a song doesn't take up any kind of processing power on a computer. Super, super easy. So I don't need a big buffer size. The computer doesn't need a lot of time to process that information. But if I say to the computer, hey computer, I want you to play a kick drum, I want you to play a snare drum, I want you to play hi-hats, I want you to play some shakers, I want you to play a bass, I want you to play a synthesizer, I want you to play another synthesizer, I want you to affect that second synthesizer, I want you to play back some vocals with effects on it, I want you to think about my Excel spreadsheet that I've got open, I want you to surf the web, and I want you to record my voice. Well, that's a whole bunch of things that you're asking the computer to do. And the computer is going to say, eventually, once you give it enough stuff to do, it's going to be like, oh, I can't do all this, right? So what is going to happen is you're going to start getting pops and clicks like that. That's because the computer is struggling to do everything that you've told it to do. So if I increase the buffer size, now the computer has more time to process all of that stuff I've asked it to do, and it can now do it. No problem. It's like, oh, you want me to do this? You want me to do this? You want me to do that? You want to know this? You want to know this? You want to search for this? You want to see this? You want to look at this? You want to listen to this? No problem. I've got this, right? Modern computers are incredible. They are incredible. They are amazing, but they are not perfect. They are not all powerful. They still have limitations. Those limitations come from the processor speed of the computer, the chip, and they come from the amount of RAM. The RAM is kind of like how big the brain, it's a little bit hard to describe it, but the RAM and the buffer size kind of go hand in hand with each other. They're both kind of the size of things, right? The buffer size is like a time, and the RAM is like a place to put stuff so it can like call it back really quickly. It's like a short-term memory, right? So if I have a keyboard controller, like I've got my keyboard controller is right here. I've got this keyboard controller, and I press a key on the keyboard controller. That data of me pressing the key goes into the computer. The computer, if I have a synthesizer, it's going to change that into audio, and that audio is going to come out to my speakers, like my headphones or something like that. So that is my buffer size, how long it takes to do that. So here, let me just show you that real quick. Let's see here. Okay, let's go to Pro Tools. Let's make a new instrument track, stereo instrument track. We'll call this one synth. And on the synth track, I'm just going to give it a synth. Let's give it the same synth we had yesterday, which is the vacuum, which comes with Pro Tools. It's a great synth that comes with Pro Tools, and we can use this for our synth class as well as the Tyrell N6. So this one here, if I hit the record button on it, I push play. Let's go ahead and change the waveform. There we go. Yeah, nice thick waveform. Turn my volume up on my headphones a little bit. Right, so that's just the synthesizer. Now, what if I go ahead and let's turn the drive up over here, the saturation. And I'm going to put some effects on this real quick just to show you some stuff that you can do. Let's go ahead and put on, let's see. Let's use harmonic. Oh, let's use one of these new ones that I just got. Or well, no, let's keep it simple, a little bit more simple. Let's use one that comes with Pro Tools. Let's see here. Let's see what's under Avid. The Sans amp is a good one. Tape echo. Ooh, let's put a tape echo on here. I don't know if I've ever used this tape. Okay, so you can hear I'm playing that little line there, and it's got that delay on it, it's got that echo. I can go ahead and change, let's put some tape hiss on. Let's go to head tilt. I don't know what that is. Wow, oh, that's the tilt of the, right, okay, can I change that? Let's just put that like right there. I don't even know what that does. Let's turn on the sync. Let's set the sync to eighth note. Eighth notes, there we go. And we'll go in here and we'll go to, yeah, this is pretty good. I think we're fine here with this, the record level feedback. Let's just keep it like that. So now what it's doing is the computer has to generate the sound, and it has to get that echo going on as well. So when I hit the key on my keyboard, it's working, and it's doing it instantaneously, because really this is nothing for the computer. If I go ahead and change the buffer size here. Now let's just see if this does it. Let's turn off, let's do that on. Let's see if this changes anything in here. I hit OK, it's gonna take a second. Yep. Can you hear the delay between when I hit the key and when you hear the sound? Listen to this. See how there's like a little bit of like a gap? Right, you can hear the click of the keyboard before you hear the sound of the synthesizer. Well, the reason why it's like that is because I just adjusted my buffer size, and that's what we call latency. Let me go ahead and put that buffer size back to, let's put it to 128, hit OK, and the computer's gonna have to think about it for a second. Now listen to this one here. It's right on top of it. Right? I don't know how well you can hear that, but it's right on top of it now. And the reason why it's right on top of it is because I just decreased the buffer size. So this is how this works. The action and the result. The action is me hitting the key on the keyboard. The result is us hearing it. The sound, the time between these two events is called latency. The latency is like the action and the response. And the buffer size creates more latency. Carlos says, yes, I hear it. Cool, okay? So our options in here, and the options are gonna change depending on your audio interface that you've got connected, but the options here usually range from 64 samples up to 1024 samples. Now, the way this works is over here on the left is the action. I hit the key on my keyboard, and over here on the right is the result. I hear the sound. On smaller buffer sizes, we're gonna have a smaller distance between it, the smaller latency, less latency. That means it's a quicker result, but it also means that it's less processing time, which equals less power. What does this mean? It means that this is better for a live performance, but it also means that you can have less plugins. Okay. Now, if I crank up that buffer size to a higher number here, well, that means I'm gonna have a slower result, which you can see when I hit the key, you hear the click of the key before you actually hear the keyboard sound. That's like unplayable. Like I can't play keyboards if it's not a direct and immediate result. So that larger buffer time is means there's a slower result, but it also means there's more processing power. And this is better for mixing, which means because you can use more plugins, but it's not very good for live. Now, it's Ryan says, at least it doesn't affect the quality of your audio when operating on lower buffer size. Well, you're right to a point, because on lower buffer sizes, what happens is that eventually we're gonna have too much for the computer to handle. There's gonna be so much stuff going on, the computer's gonna buckle under the pressure. So it's gonna start popping and clicking, and that's just unbearable. Believe me, you may have experienced it already on like if you're using, especially if you're using like an older computer, you may have experienced this where it's like pops and clicks, and that's just it's so hard to deal with. Now, Pro Tools a lot of times won't give you pops and clicks. It'll just stop. It'll just be like, hey, you need to increase your buffer size or something. Sometimes that's accurate. Sometimes it's not. Pro Tools gets weird like that. What's the solution? The solution is go into Pro Tools, open up your playback engine, and increase the buffer size. So usually what I recommend is if you're mixing, if you're recording and composing, producing, use smaller buffer sizes, 64, 128, 256. I think personally for me, 128 is the magic, number here. But some people like it to be a smaller buffer size, like 64. Modern computers can oftentimes handle 64, but older computers have a harder time with it. 256 I think is still okay. Actually, I'll use 256 a lot for my Ableton sessions, because if I set it to 256, I usually never have to change it. But 128 works great too. If you have more RAM, you can put it to a lower buffer size as well. But if you're having troubles with your computer, popping and clicking at these numbers, once you're done producing, once you're done playing stuff in live, change your buffer size to a higher number, 5, 12, 10, 24. If you have it, do 2056, because that will allow you to have more plugins and without having any kind of like weird issues. Now, kind of going back to what Ryan Boy says, actually the buffer size problems when you're bouncing everything out at the end and you're bouncing it using offline bouncing, it's not going to change your audio quality, because your computer will actually slow down the bounce in order to make sure everything sounds right. But it will affect what you're hearing at the time. When you hit play and you're playing it back in real time, it's gonna give you some issues. Just a couple things to remember. You can change the buffer size. In the beginning, when you're mostly writing music and playing music back, use the smaller buffer sizes. Later, when you are mixing, change to the larger buffer sizes. How do you know when that time comes? When you start to hear pops and clicks. If you never hear pops and clicks, that's fine. Don't change the buffer size. Just keep this in the back of your head. It's not something you have to like think about all the time, but keep it in the back of your head all the time, because at some point you're going to hear that pop and click and you're going to be like, oh, you know what? I should change my buffer size. Hold on, let me back that up a second. I'd said at some point you will hear it. Let me change that to at some point you might hear it, because if you're buying like a fancy computer, then you'll probably never hear it. For example, I had an iMac from 2012. Actually, it wasn't even a modern computer, but it was an iMac i7 chip. The i7 chip was a really nice chip, and I had 32 gigs of RAM in it. It was a quad core i7 iMac. It was like, when I bought it, it was like $4,000. It was a very, very powerful machine in 2012. And I never had to change the buffer size on that thing. And the only reason why I actually ended up getting rid of it, I still have it. The only reason why I ended up stopping using it was because the power block died on it. And the power block is connected to everything else, and it's very expensive to fix that. At some point, I might actually try to get it fixed, because there's stuff on the hard drive I need to get to. But I loved that machine, and I had it it didn't die until like 2018 or 2019 or something. It lasted me a good 6 or 7 years, and it probably would have lasted longer, except for that group of iMacs had some problems with like the power block and stuff that were known issues. That had nothing to do with the computer. It had nothing to do with the processor. It had to do with the other stuff in the computer. This MacBook Air, I had a Mac Mini. The only reason I got rid of the Mac Mini after that was because I needed something more portable. So the Mac Mini I got, it was an i7 chip again, quad core i7, 32 gigs of RAM, basically the same as my iMac, but just much smaller. And it was a beast. It was so good. This MacBook Air, so far, the only thing I don't like about it, that I don't love about it, is the RAM. The RAM is only 16 gigs. I really would like 32 gigs or more of RAM. So that's really what's going on. My point is that modern computers are incredible. So if you're buying a computer now and you get that computer kind of a little bit on the more souped up side, you're probably not going to need another computer for a very long time, at least 6 or 8 years. Maybe you can make it last about 10 years. Who knows? I always try to make my computers last as long as possible. All right, so that's our buffer size. Let's go back here a little bit just to make sure we've covered all the stuff here. I think we're good with everything. Yeah, I think we're pretty good here. The disk playback, again, set that to as much as you can, but on my computer, for example, I just don't have that much RAM, so I can only set it for like 4 gigs of RAM. The higher the number is, the better it's going to be for smoother playback and stuff like that. All right, so let's skip ahead. We're going to skip import audio stuff for now, and we're going to go straight to record modes. So, okay, when it's time to record stuff, you've already set up your playback engine, you're hearing stuff, and you want to set something up to record. Let me go ahead and do this. Let me set this up. I'm going to go ahead and make a quick little beat here in here. I'm going to go into here. I'm going to make another stereo track, and we're going to call this one drum loop. And I'm going to grab the audio I had yesterday. We're going to grab that from teaching exercises and lab 1. And this is the audio that you're going to be using for lab 1. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put that into my clips list over here. Go ahead and save this. Good. We're going to grab these audio files here. I'm going to drag them into my clips list. And my drum loop, I'm going to put it in shuffle mode. I'm going to put this back here in the beginning. Boom. And I'm going to make the waveform a little bit smaller. Zoom in. And I'm going to change my tempo here to 90 BPMs. If you remember from yesterday, this drum loop was 90 BPMs. Oops, hold on a second. Let's change this. Oh, that was that weird thing it was doing. It wasn't actually setting my, oh, that elastic audio thing is going to kill me. Let's change this to 90 BPMs. There we go, cool. Now everything else should come in at 90. There we go, awesome. There's my drum beat. Let's drag in the percussion. I'm gonna make another stereo track. Whoops, I don't need to use a timestamp. Another stereo track here. And we're gonna call this one perc loop. Always name your tracks. What is that? That's, why is it like that? Hold on a second. No, I did it wrong, sorry. Perc loop, for real. There we go. There's my perc loop. This is not a perc loop. Perc stands for percussion. Let's listen to this. Awesome, that sounds pretty good. And let's get the electric piano loop. Turn off my elastic audio because I do not want that. I'm kind of upset that it's doing that automatically because I wanted to turn that off. Okay, good. Cool, so we've got this here. Cool. So I'm going to record some MIDI in here. Cool. That sounds pretty good. I'm going to quantize it. I'm just going to clean it up a little bit here. Awesome. Rearrange that a little bit. Nice. I'm gonna go in here and change this one. Cool. Okay, so I just made a little beat here, and this is just something so I have something to record my voice on top of, okay? This is not audio recording, this is a MIDI recording here. I'm gonna rearrange my tracks real quick. I'm gonna color code all these tracks the same color, and I don't need, hold on a second. I don't need the comments. There we go. Cool. So I'm going to color code these all my drums. I always like my drums to be kind of this like orangey color. And then my bass, let's rename this one bass synth. Stop being on. There we go. Bass synth. And this one here, I'm going to make this one red. Yeah. And that's just my own personal preference. You do not have to make it red. I'm going to put my vocal over here. The vocal, I like the vocals to be green, kind of a green color there. There we go. That's just what I like to have. So you don't have to have them the same colors or anything like that. Okay. Cool. There we go. Pull that up. Awesome. Okay. There we go. Nice little bass sound there. Okay. Let's see what that sounds like down the octave real quick. I'm going to use my real-time MIDI properties here just to transpose it down. I like it better the way it was. Okay, cool, there we go. Okay, cool. So that's sounding pretty good. Let's go ahead and just copy that out a couple times. So I have 16 bar loop of that. We'll just make that loop go all the way over to here. Boom, there we go. So I got this little thing in here and I can go ahead and record my voice. So let's go back and look at our notes here. So we've got everything laid out on here for us to record some stuff. So let's see, how do we want to record this? And this is where our record modes come into play. So we've got normal, loop, quick punch, and then there is also destructive mode. So let's just take a look at this. How do we change these? Well, the way that we change these is we go right up here to our record button up here, and you right click, and you can see it gives us our options for this: normal, loop, destructive, and quick punch. So normal mode is the basic one. Basically what this means is that you need to make sure that you're recording and everything is set up to record ahead of time. Okay, so I'm going to go in here. I'm going to say, let's record into this one. Check 1 2, check check check. If we want to hear it, hey, check 1 2, check check check. That sounds pretty good. I actually don't want to hear my voice when I'm recording because why would I? I'm not a great vocalist. I don't love the sound of my voice, so I'm not going to listen to my voice as I'm recording. I just want to make sure that it sounds pretty good. It sounds fine, so we're good to go there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to set this up. Let's see, what should we talk about? We're going to talk about how much my dog likes to swim. All right, so what I'm going to do here is I've got this record enabled. This little red button here is flashing, and I have a couple of ways I can do this. I can either hit the record button up here, and then I can hit the play button. Now, on Pro Tools, play and stop is the space bar. That's the easiest way to do it. So I'm going to hit the space bar when I'm ready to go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let it record for a couple bars. And then I'm going to go ahead and start talking about my dog and how much she likes to go swimming. Yeah, all right, here we go. I'm going to hit the record button. I've got the record button hit up here. It's flashing. It's ready to go. So I'm going to hit the space bar to start it actually going. Yo, my dog likes to swim. She just discovered it. She likes to swim all day. She likes to get really wet and swim around. She swims in circles, but she doesn't always go the right place. What? My dog likes to swim. My dog likes to swim, yeah. My dog likes to swim. I got a swimmy little dog. Perfect. Great. Okay. You can use that for your next hit. Okay, so now if we go back and listen to this. Yo, my dog likes to swim. She just discovered it. She likes to swim all day. She likes to get really wet and swim around. She swims in circles, but she doesn't always go the right place. Enough of that. Oh my gosh, the worst. Okay, so now we can take this audio and, a little bit about what we talked about yesterday. Remember our tools here. Yeah, right. Remember our tools up here in the top corner here. Well, now that we've got some audio in here that we've recorded, we can actually go through and yeah, fire. Go through and actually record this. Now, what I'm gonna not record, we can actually edit it and work with it. So let's just go over here and check out the chorus. I'm gonna go ahead and play it from right here. My dog likes to swim. My dog likes to swim, yeah. My dog likes to swim. I got a swimmy little dog. Perfect. Okay, I like that part. The other stuff is whatever. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and cut this out, and we're just gonna go ahead and drag this back over here like this. So now I've got this section here, and it's just in this little first part here. Okay. So here, let's just back that up real quick. Let's see. How do I? Yep. Let's back this up, and so I can show you exactly what I did. Okay. So first of all, in order to cut this right here, I'm using my Smart tool for all of this, okay? So let me just go ahead and use the individual tools first so you can see kind of what we're doing with this. So first I'm gonna use my Selector tool. I'm gonna come down here. Let me make this a bit bigger so you can see exactly what's going on. I'm gonna put my cursor, see that little, like when I click, it puts a little flashing line here? I'm gonna put my cursor where I wanna make the cut, and I'm gonna hit Command E. Now, on a Windows machine, it's Control E. Command E is it's gonna be one of your best friends. This is what we call separate clips. It's gonna separate the clips wherever I put it. So if I go ahead and I click on this, it's gonna separate into 2 clips. Hold on, let me turn some stuff on. I've noticed that everything I set up yesterday did not stay set up today, which is kind of annoying, and it's not usually like that. Usually Pro Tools keeps your settings. So now we can see, the reason why I want to see my name of the clips here is not because the name is brilliant or anything, but because that lets me know more easily that I've separated my clip out. So one more time, I put my cursor where I want it to be, and I hit Command E, and it separates it to a new clip. Now I can take my grabber tool, and I can click on this one, and I'm going to delete it. Actually, before I start going too far with the editing, let me go ahead and save all this stuff here and make a new playlist. We're going to talk about playlists on another day, but playlist basically allows me to have multiple sets of audio on one track. That's playlists in a nutshell. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a new playlist here. I'm just going to hit OK. I don't care about the name of the playlist. And actually, hold on, let's undo that. Let's make a duplicate playlist instead of new. New is like a blank playlist. Duplicate is gonna keep what I have on here already. So now we can see I've got 2 playlists. If I go ahead and delete this, I'm gonna go back and look at my other playlist real quick just to show you. The other playlist has all my audio on it, and this one has only my chorus. Now, the cool thing about this and why I love to use playlists like this is I'm about to start doing a lot of editing to this, and if I don't love what I'm doing, I can always go back to the original part. That's what's really cool about this stuff. So I'm not sure what we're about to do is something I'm gonna like, so I'm gonna go ahead and make sure I'm saving my original playlist. All right, let me just put this over now. Okay, so I'm gonna take this that we just cut, and I'm gonna drag it to the beginning. So I'm just gonna drag it over here, let go. I'm using the grabber tool to do that. Now, see this little bit here at the end, how it's over the 5th bar here? Well, I can do 2 things about that. One, I can use the Selector tool and highlight it by clicking and dragging like that and hit delete to get rid of it. Or I can use my trim tool to go in here and just trim it back like this a little bit. Boom, like that. Whichever way you want to do it, it doesn't really matter. They both accomplish the same thing. Oh, what is up, Jonathan? How are you doing? All right, let's see. Let's put you in here, Jonathan, like that. Boom. A little bit on the late side, Jonathan. So we're marking you a little bit late there, buddy. If you have any questions about it, just talk to me later. All right. So we've got this 4-bar loop here. What I want to do is I want to make this loop in Pro Tools. We can see up here on the right-hand side that my playback is set for loop. I just I right-click and I select loop here, and you can see there's a little loop on it. So I'm going to make this so it loops and plays back. How do I know what it's going to loop? I use my Selector tool to select up top, or because I have my link timeline and edit selection right here, this button right here, What this does is it means that anything I select down here is going to be selected up across the top up here. So I highlight it and I drag around, and now it's going to be looping that part. I'm going to go ahead and turn this off so it doesn't lose this loop though. My dog likes to swim. My dog likes to swim, yeah. Great. My dog likes to swim. I got a swimmy little dog. My dog likes... Cool, so now we can listen to that over and over and over again, okay? So that sounds pretty good. What if I want to record that again? Maybe I was just like messing around, getting some ideas, like exactly like what I was doing. So let me go ahead and record that again. But this time I'm gonna record this as a loop. We just set up our loop playback, but let's go ahead and record this as a loop, as a recording loop, just this 4 bars here. And that's what we're talking about in this section right over here, loop mode. Loop mode is you must set up the loop points first and then hit the record button before you hit play. You've always got to hit that record button before you hit play. See, you must hit the record button before you start playback, because with Pro Tools, unlike Logic or Ableton Live, once you hit play, it's not going to let you actually hit the record button later unless you're using Quickpunch. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to mute this. I'm going to go ahead and hit that record button there. I'm going to make a new playlist. Click on this little arrow here next to the name of the track. Go up here to new. Bippity boppity. I don't need to worry about what this says. It's just going to say 0.02, 0.03, 0.04. It's just going to give me a new number here. Boom. So now I set this up. As long as this link timeline and edit selection button is turned off, it doesn't matter where I click down here. And I'm just going to make sure my loop points are set correctly. I just click and drag across with my selector tool. Now I right click on my record, I hit loop. Now, if I record, it's going to record in a loop. So I can record that chorus over and over and over again. At this point, I'm just kind of making ideas for the song, so it's fine. I'll just set this as a loop. Now, here's the thing, is that there are a couple of shortcuts for recording. I can, first of all, if I don't want to use a shortcut, I can just hit the record button up here, and I hit the space bar. My dog likes to swim. My dog likes to swim. My dog likes to swim. I got a very swimmy dog. My dog likes to swim. My dog likes to swim. My dog likes to swim. I got a very swimmy dog. Awesome, okay? Now, what you may have noticed was that it was actually making everything disappear every time it went back to the beginning of the loop. The reason why I was doing that was because I've actually got this set up, I think. Oh no, it was just recording over it, which is, that's fine. That's actually what I wanted it to do. But even though it was recording over it, here, let me just go ahead and drag this back like this. Actually, it was recording one big long section. So the section it was actually recording was 8 bars long, not 4 bars long. The song is growing on you. Please don't. Please don't let it do that. Okay, so this is 8 bars. I recorded 8 bars, but it was only looping a 4-bar chunk. Now, here's what this looks like on paper. Where's my loop record? There's my loop record, okay? A loop record allows you to set your in and out points on the timeline to record a specific section of the song over and over again. You right-click the record button in the transport and select loop, or you can also hit Option L is the shortcut. This records one long audio file, but you only see one section of it. Then you can use the trim tool to see the entire file. So what this looks like is I set my loop. It's gonna see this, but it's actually gonna record multiple sections. Okay, it's gonna record it over time. So if I record 8-bar loop, if I record that 8-bar loop 3 times through, that's actually 24 bars total. And my final audio file is 24 bars, not 8 bars, 24 bars. And so you just have to expose that using the trim tool. So let me just show you that one more time. Let me undo this stuff here. Go back. So this is what I recorded. But if I drag this to the right and go back and use my trim tool to drag the end to the left, now I've got my 8 bars of recording. Let's go ahead and make another playlist here, new playlist. And let's do it one more time, okay? So I've got my 4 bars here. I'm gonna hit the record button up top, and when I'm ready to go, I'm gonna hit the space bar to record it. Okay, here we go, ready? My dog likes to swim. My dog likes to swim. My dog likes to swim. I got a very swimmy dog. My dog likes to swim. My dog likes to swim, yo. My dog likes to swim. I got a very swimmy dog. My dog likes to swim. My dog likes to swim. My dog likes to swim. I got a very swimmy dog. Awesome. So I recorded it 3 times. If it's 4 bars long, 3 times 4 is 12. So we should have 12 bars of actual recording. So let's go ahead, and what we have to do is we have to drag this to the right. Why am I dragging it to the right? Well, the only reason I'm dragging it to the right is because to the left is just nothing. We're at bar 1, so there's nothing to the left. So I'm going to use my grabber tool. I'm using my shortcuts for this, by the way. If you don't see me actually going up here and clicking on stuff, it's because I'm using F7, F6, F7, F6, F7, and F8 to change those. So my grabber tool, I'm going to drag this over so it's here with bar 12. I'm going to use my trim tool and where is it? There it is. I'm going to use my trim tool and trim it back like this. If I want to trim it more, I can't because it's only 12 bars long. Grab this, and now let's listen to all of them real quick. Actually, I don't want to listen to all of them because it's just me saying my dog likes to swim. So we don't need to do a lot else with it. But these are all one long take, but it's when we looked at it before, if I hit undo a bunch of times, it only looks like this when we actually start doing it. And that's because we are in loop record mode. Now, if I change this back to regular record mode, let's make a new audio track here. Tony02, we'll call it Tony02. Audio mono, okay, good. So we got this one here. I'm gonna make sure everything says the same stuff. It should all say the same stuff. I'm gonna go ahead and turn this off, mute this one, and hit the record on this one here. Now we're recording onto the second track. If we hit play on this, I can hear my original recording. My dog likes to swim. My dog likes to swim. My dog likes to swim. I got a very swimmy dog. Okay, let's record some ad-libs for this, shall we? Okay, so why don't I name this ad-lib here? So let's call it Tony ad-lib. Ad-lib 01. Make sure you always name the tracks before you start recording, and we'll talk about why in a little bit here. So I've got this down here, boom, and I'm gonna go in here, I'm gonna say, okay, so we got this, and let's record the second part, some ad-libs, and yeah, let's do it. I'm not gonna listen to what I'm recording, I'm gonna listen to what I just recorded though, okay? My dog likes to swim, yeah! My dog likes to swim, what? My dog likes to swim. Oh my gosh. I got a very swimmy dog. Yeah. Okay. Now, notice that when I hit the end here, it just stopped. Why did it just stop? It just stopped because, hey, we are not in loop playback or loop record. We're in loop playback, but not loop record because I changed it, and I changed it because I wanted to show you what was going on here. So what's happening is because I have this part highlighted, it's going to just go ahead and stop right here. Now, if I wanted to, whoops, not do it like that. Let's say I want to record a whole bunch of stuff. Let's drag this all the way over like this, trim it back like that. So I have 12 bars of me saying my dog likes to swim. And what we can do is we can record the whole thing. Now, this would be the same thing as me looping it 4 bars and letting it go for a long time, or I can do it like this. As you start to notice here, we can do the same thing multiple ways. There's always different ways of recording stuff, and depending on your mood, depending on your situation, you may want to do it a slightly different way. How do you know which way to do it? That's a good question. How do you know which way that you should do it? Well, the answer is trial and error. Trial and error. Sometimes one way is going to work better than other times. Well, or it's going to be more comfortable for you, or it's going to be more comfortable for the people in your room. So how do you know? It's just, you just have to do this a bunch of times. You just have to sit down and start recording yourself. If you're not a good vocalist, this guy right here, it doesn't matter. The important part is that you do it, and you'll get better at it. Or like this guy right here, you won't get better at it, but at least you'll get more experience doing it. Okay, so I'm gonna let this go for 12 bars here, and I'm gonna ad lib into it here a little bit, and I'm just gonna hit another shortcut. Another shortcut here is the 3 key on your numeric keypad. So you can see I've got this little Satechi keyboard. There we go. That's it. And the Satechi keyboard has a full-size keyboard, and it's got like a little number keypad here. But the cool thing about this keyboard, it's a Bluetooth keyboard. The cool thing about this keyboard is that it's a little bit shorter because it doesn't have the arrow keys and stuff in here. So it's a little bit shorter than the Apple Pro keyboard, which is why I like it, but it still has the numeric keypad. The numeric keypad for Pro Tools is actually super, super, super important. I really recommend that you get a keyboard that has a numeric keypad. This one's great. It's like, I don't know, I think it was like 50 bucks, maybe a little bit more. I'm not sure, I don't remember. But it's been pretty good. I've had it for about a year now. It's been pretty solid, pretty heavy duty solid. I've traveled around with it a bunch. No, actually, I think I had it more than a year. I think I got it actually back before I went to Thailand. So I may have had it for more than a year, and may have actually traveled with me quite a bit. I don't remember right now, because I have other keyboards as well. But the cool thing is it's not too big. I think I was using a different keyboard when I traveled to Thailand, though, to be honest. Okay, so anyway, this keyboard, what's great about it is it has this numeric keypad, and the numeric keypad has a 3 key. The 3 key is what we want. The 3 key is another shortcut for recording in Pro Tools. So what I can do is I hit this and watch what happens. My dog likes to swim. Yo! My dog likes to swim. Yeah! My dog likes to swim. What? I got a very swimmy dog. My dog likes to swim. Yeah! My dog likes to swim, yo. Hey! My dog likes to swim. I got a very swimmy dog. My dog likes to swim. What? My dog likes to swim. Sing it. My dog likes to swim. Yeah. I got a very swimmy dog. Cool. Okay. Now, you notice that I was saying some stuff here in the beginning. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my edit into what we call slip mode, and I'm going to go ahead and drag it back. Now, remember, we talked about this a little bit yesterday. We have our different modes up here. So far, I've been using grid mode. Okay, remember the shortcuts for these are F1, F2, F3, and F4. I've been using my grid mode so far. The grid mode is fine for everything I've been doing, but if I want to edit this not on the grid, if I use it in grid mode, watch what happens. I can just select like this, right? But I want to actually grab just this one part here. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit. The shortcut for zooming in is command brackets, the command brackets. And I'm going to use F2 to put it in slip mode. I'm just going to grab this part and go this way and hit delete. So now I don't have any of that me talking in the beginning nonsense. Let's zoom back out here. Let's zoom out here. And let's just listen to this ad lib because I'm sure it's absolute fire. Okay, here we go. My dog likes to swim. Yo. My dog likes to swim. Yeah. My dog likes to swim. What? I got a very swimmy dog. Cool. My dog likes to swim. Yeah. My dog likes to swim, yo. My dog likes to swim. I got a very swimmy dog. Okay, so this one here doesn't really match anything. I'm just gonna go ahead and delete that right there. And let's go ahead and start it from over here. I got a very swimmy dog. Cool. My dog likes to swim. What? My dog likes to swim. Sing it. My dog likes to swim. Yeah. I got a very swimmy dog. Okay, cool. So in general, I'm like on top of the beat a little bit too much. We can actually fix that in a little bit to make me sound more relaxed. Also, what you probably noticed was this one over here was really, I got too excited. So it was very, very distorted. Is there anything I can do about that? Nope. I just have to delete it. So I'm just going to go in here and hit delete on this. Boom, there we go. The ad-libs go crazy. Yo, I'm a crazy man. What? Okay. So, all right. So we got that in here. Now, let's lay down one more thing in here. Let's lay down some haze. So I'm going to go ahead in here, and I'm going to make another track. We're going to call this one Tony Hey. And we're going to call it 01. Now, you'll notice that I'm putting an 01 before all of these. The reason I'm putting an 01 in here is because if I want to make more of these, I can number them 02, 03, 04. It's just something that I do. You don't have to do that, but I do it myself. All right. Now, let's talk about this other recording method, which is right here, Quickpunch. Okay, Quickpunch. You can play the song and hit record at any time to record, stop recording as it plays. Here's the cool thing about Quickpunch is with Quickpunch, Pro Tools is always recording. So what we're going to do is we're going to right click up here on our record button and do Quickpunch. There are shortcuts for these. I don't actually know what they are. I just right click because I usually just keep my record mode set up for one thing for so long that I don't worry about shortcuts. And I just have too many shortcuts in my brain. I've got shortcuts for Pro Tools, Ableton Live, Logic, Premiere Pro. I used to have some in my brain for Adobe, After Effects, and Photoshop. There's just too much. It's too much. So I pick and choose the important ones, really. So in here, the Quickpunch, what that means is I'm going to go ahead and set up my track for recording. I got record enable going. I got it muted. And what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and only Quickpunch in when I want to record. So I'm not going to actually hit record right now. And this is the only record mode where this works. I'm not going to hit record. I'm going to hit play. And when I want to record, I'm going to record. So check this out. So I'm going to hit play, which is the spacebar. And then whenever I want to record, I'm going to hit the 3 key over here. Now, if you do not have the 3 key, you can hit F12, F12 right here, or you can hit Command Space. But in order to use those correctly, you have to actually set some stuff up on your computer, which we can talk about in Zoom a little bit later. All right, so I'm going to hit play, and I'm going to use my 3 key for recording. My dog likes to swim. Hey, hey, hey. My dog likes to swim. Yeah. Hey. Hey, my dog likes to swim. What? Hey, hey, I got a very swimmy dog. Hey, hey, my dog likes to swim. Yeah. Hey, hey, my dog likes to swim, yo. Hey, my dog likes to swim. I got a very swimmy dog. Hey, my dog likes to swim. What? Hey, my dog likes to swim. Sing it. Hey, my dog likes to swim. Yeah. I got a very swimmy dog. Cool. So you see, I just stopped recording using the 3 key and put it in. Okay. So I didn't start recording in the beginning. I let it record. Now, the cool thing about this, the interesting thing is that Pro Tools is always recording. Let's just go back up here to this one real quick. I'm going to go ahead and mute all this stuff. Let's go back to this first one here. And let's say I want to re-record this. Make a new playlist here. I'm going to hit the mute button. I'm going to hit the record button. We're going to go back to the beginning, and we're going to go ahead and record this. Okay, ready? Okay, let's go. Oops. My dog likes to swim. My dog likes to swim. My dog likes to swim. I got a very swimmy dog. Now, at this point, you may notice that I'm not actually recording, and this might happen to you where you're in a session and you think you hit record and you look up and you haven't actually hit record. Well, this is where using Quickpunch can be very useful, because now if I hit my record button, it's now recording. My dog likes to swim. My dog likes to swim. My dog likes to swim. I got a very swimmy dog. Okay, so now that we've hit the record button, I can go ahead and stop it using the space bar. Okay, the cool thing, that's weird. The cool thing is if I go back and drag this back, it actually was recording the whole time. So it didn't look like it was recording anything in here, but if I drag it back like this, actually in Quickpunch mode, Pro Tools is always recording, which is so useful, and this will save your butts in an important session someday. I guarantee you, if you are a recording engineer, if you use Quickpunch, it will save you in an important session at some point, because there will be at some point where think you're recording, but you're sidetracked by somebody talking to you or whatever, and you hit go and you think you're recording and you're actually not recording. But if you have Quickpunch on, you'll be able to save yourself. What's the point? The point is always use Quickpunch. Always use Quickpunch. Quickpunch is always recording, always use it. All my friends who are recording engineers who use Pro Tools have used Quickpunch for that purpose at one point in their careers, because you're just going to be recording every day. An accident is bound to happen, some kind of mistake. So make sure that you're using Quickpunch. Here's the thing, is that you have to hit record before you stop playback. If you stop playback first, the recording goes out of the buffer. Okay, so now if we wanted to, we could go through and we could listen. We could listen to all this stuff I was saying in here. Let's go ahead and hit solo, and we can go in here and we can listen to all this stuff. My dog likes to swim. Right, there's that, but there's also, I got a very swimmy dog. Now, at this point, you may notice that I'm not actually, everything has been recorded. And then Chris says, is Quickpunch what you use to punch in too? Yes, it's the same thing. So with Quickpunch, I can go through, let's just make a new playlist real quick. So I have a blank playlist, and I can go in here and I can hit play. I can record, oh wait, hold on a second. You gotta make sure that your track is record enabled though. Okay, there we go. So I hit play. I can Quickpunch right here, and I can Quickpunch out. I can Quickpunch back in right here. I can Quickpunch out. And what I'm doing is I'm using the 3 key right here. Quickpunch. Quickpunch out. Quickpunch. That was me Quickpunching out. And I can just record when I'm talking. And that's what Quickpunch is for. Okay. But realistically, Pro Tools is actually recording everything. If I just drag back and expose it all, it's always recording. And that's how Pro Tools actually gets around the Quickpunch kind of problem. Because in reality, Pro Tools needs to have record be on in order to record. Like, remember when we're using regular record, you gotta hit record first. If you're in loop record mode, you gotta hit record first before you hit play. The reason why is because Pro Tools cannot actually turn record on and off. So Quickpunch, it's actually recording the entire time in the background. Quickpunch is just exposing the clips. It's kind of a fake thing. So let's use Quickpunch in a real situation here. Let me go back to number 3 here. Number 3 was the one I liked. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna actually use Quickpunch for this part here. So I'm gonna go like this. I'm gonna have it so I can hear it, and I'm gonna hit play. My dog likes to swim. My dog likes to swim. My dog likes to swim. I got a very swimmy dog. My dog likes to swim. My dog likes to swim, yo. My dog likes to swim. I got a very swimmy dog. Cool. So now you can see that right here, it actually punched it in. Whoops, wrong button. There we go. It punched it in right over here. And I can actually drag this around. I'm still in slip mode, so I can drag this around and get, where I need to, whatever I need to. Now, with slip mode is really what you want to have Quickpunch turned on for, because slip mode will set the punch wherever you hit it. Grid mode will actually set the punch on the grid, whatever you have the grid set to. So let me just demonstrate that for you. Let's turn our grid mode on, F4. Let's hit record. And you notice also that when I turn off my mute, I can hear both my microphone and the audio that's on there. So let's go ahead and do this, and I'm gonna hit play. My dog likes to swim. My dog likes to swim. My dog likes to swim. I got a very swimmy dog. So I think, well, let's just see, did I just lie to y'all? I think I may have just lied to you. Oh, okay, with Quickpunch, it's actually just punching in off the grid. I thought it was set to the grid, but I guess not. There's a lot of things that are set to the grid. I guess Quickpunch is not one of them, which I had forgotten about. In reality, I don't use Quickpunch very often because I'm not a recording engineer. I'm not somebody who records a lot of people. And these days, most of the recordings that I do are not in Pro Tools anymore. I'm using Ableton Live for most stuff. So that's why I'm like, I didn't remember that. But you can see a little bit more about how this all works. And just keep in mind that Quickpunch is actually always recording in the background. So I do have that data to work with if I need to. If I need to work with that data, and I can just grab the end parts and move them over here. Now, you can see here, at some point, I switched over to my Smart Tool, and I kind of wanted to do that in the background to just kind of illustrate how easy it is to use the Smart Tool once you're used to it. I highly recommend that you use the Smart Tool for stuff because it is a really nice way to work, and it does work a little bit better than just using the shortcuts for all this stuff. But it does take time to get used to the Smart Tool. If you're already used to Pro Tools a bit, using the Smart Tool will actually slow you down at first, but I think it's well worth it. Like, I used Pro Tools for about 6 years before I knew about the Smart Tool. I had no idea. I didn't even think that it was a thing, this like little thing up here. And when I was in a session in Chicago and I was working with the guy and he was watching me work, and I had never worked with him before, and he was watching me work, and he's like, oh, you don't use the Smart Tool. I was like, the what? What's that? And he told me about it, and he was like, yeah, but just be careful because it's gonna, like, because I was really fast with using the shortcuts, and he was like, be careful, it's gonna slow you down a little bit. And I found that it did slow me down, but I felt like, and I feel like, the benefits outweigh that kind of slight pullback in speed. And then once you're good at it, once you've got used to it, it's going to speed you back up again. So let's go ahead and back this up like this. Cool. Now, a couple things in here. One more record mode in here is destructive mode. Before we talk about this, one more record mode is destructive mode. That's this one right here, destructive mode. Got a little D in the record there. Destructive mode, don't even worry about it. Seriously, forget it exists. The whole point of destructive mode is that it's actually recording into the audio file you've got in there already. I'm not even going to demonstrate it for you. There's no reason to even really keep talking about it. Destructive mode is kind of a legacy feature that's left over from when hard drive space was a premium. Nowadays, hard drive space is not a premium. You've got hard drive space for days, and hard drives are really cheap. So you don't need to worry about hard drive space anymore. Just go out and buy another hard drive for $100. It's like 2 terabytes or whatever, and use that for recording your stuff. Don't use destructive mode. It's not even worth it anymore. Like, seriously, just forget it's even there. The only 3 record modes that you want to use are normal, loop, and Quickpunch. And depending on the situation, you're going to use different ones. But if you're a recording engineer, unless you're using loop for something, if all you're going to use is normal record mode, just use Quickpunch, because it amounts to the same thing, but it's also got like this, it's a bit safer, right, in case you make a mistake. Awesome. Okay, so let's just take this. Okay, so what we're going to do is this. Let's just take this and edit this real quick, and I just want to show you something that's pretty cool. So we've got this chorus that's 4 bars. I'm going to put my edit modes into grid mode here, F4, right up here, grid mode. And I've got this 4-bar chorus. Let's say the chorus is 4 bars. Well, maybe I want to double this up. And so I've got a couple of options. One, I could double it by just going and re-recording it, but I've got 12 bars of me saying my dog wants to swim. It's 12 bars of me singing the chorus. So what I can do is I can make a new audio track, but let's go ahead and just do this. Let's duplicate this audio track. I'm gonna right click, I'm gonna select duplicate. I'm gonna duplicate everything. I'm just gonna leave this on, and I'm gonna make 2 duplicates. And I'm gonna hit OK, boom. So now it's got the same thing 3 times. Well, what I'm gonna do with this is I'm just gonna go ahead and put in some separations in here using Command E. I'm using my selector tool here, and I'm just clicking and I'm hitting Command E or Control E on Windows. And I'm just going to go through and I'm going to delete the stuff I don't want. And now I'm just going to move everything over like this. Boom. That's all I had to do. Now I've got some cool duplicates of this chorus. Let's go ahead and zoom in on this. And let's grab, I'm gonna leave one of them up loud. I'm gonna turn these ones down. I'm gonna pan them out a little bit. Like this, like this. This one here is Tony 0103. This one's gonna be Tony 02. And this one's gonna be Tony 03. That's just how, so I have it named properly, and I'm going to listen to it here. I'm going to mute the ad-libs. Oh, they're already muted. Okay, great. So let's listen to these. My dog likes to swim. My dog likes to swim, yo. My dog likes to swim. I got a very swimmy dog. Right? And that's a pretty good little duplicate there. I'm just going to go ahead and real quick put it in slip mode. I'm going to zoom in using command brackets, and I'm going to get rid of this yo. My dog likes to swim. Yo, don't need the yo. I'm just gonna fade this out like that. There we go. Let's back it up. My dog likes to swim. My dog likes to swim. My dog likes to swim. I got a very swimmy dog. Now, whenever you're doing duplicates like this and you're doing doubling, this is what we call doubling, even though I've tripled it, it's called doubling. Whenever you're doing doubling, you don't really want all your voices to be the same level. You want one of them to be louder than the others, to be like the main level, and then you can make the other ones. You just want that kind of doubled sound. Hold on a second real quick. Luna, hey, come here. Come here, babes. Come here. Can you bring her over here? I want to show you who I'm singing about here. Thank you. Oh, she's got a face full of rice. Aw. Here's the pups. Hi, pups. This is the animal that likes to swim. Although it's all a lie. She doesn't love to swim, but she does like to eat rice. She's got a face full of rice right now. Thank you. That's what we were singing about today. So you can hear that in here, the very swimmy dog. It's a very swimmy dog, yep. So I'm going to go ahead and loop this. The muse, yes, true story. So in here, I'm going to loop this, and so now we can listen to this. And now I've got these parts here that I just recorded as a loop, if you remember that. And this is how I do a lot of my not ad-libs, this is how I do a lot of my doubling with people, is I'll just have them record it as a loop. And what I'll do is I'll take the best one and I'll make that the main vocal. And I'll take the other ones that are pretty good, but maybe not as good as I wanted, and I'll put them back in the background for the doubles. Lysian says, you are the first music streamer I see that don't have a clipping or distortion as WAV file. And just for that, I'm saying, awesome. Great. Glad to hear that. Also makes me wonder, why are music streamers having clipping on their WAV files? Oh, maybe so you don't steal my beats? Are you going to steal my beats? Is that why they do it? Or are they just bad at setting things up, which is super annoying? Whatever. I'm not worried about people stealing my beats. These beats are fresh. So these are so original, these beats, that if you stole it, everybody in the world would immediately know, oh, that's Tony beat. Yo, Tony, somebody's taking your beats over on Twitch. All right, so what we're going to do here is we're also going to use these ad-libs here. No basic knowledge of music. That is horrifying. People who are up. This is also why I encourage people to go to a music school to learn about this stuff like SAE instead of just going on YouTube, because as good as YouTube can be, I've seen a lot of really horrifying techniques on YouTube that it's just like, oh my gosh, please don't do that. All right, so let's go in here to my ad-libs, and the ad-libs, let's use a couple of these. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut this up at remember we have those bars there, and I'm gonna put the ad-libs kind of more in the middle, but I'm gonna duplicate these as well. So we're gonna go over here and go to duplicate down here in the bottom, and let's make 2 duplicates. And so we've got these here, and I'm just going to get rid of this one and this one here, and then this one. There we go. And then I'm just going to take these and copy and paste them, Command C, Command X to get rid of it, and Command V to paste. And again, this one here, Command C, Command V to get rid of it, and then Command C, Command X to get rid of it, and Command V to paste. So now we've got this in here. These, I'm going to keep these ad-libs in the middle because when they're doubled up and stuff like that, I don't want them to be all over the place spatially. I just want them to be right in the middle. I'm going to turn these down. Eventually, we're going to talk about how to subgroup these, but that's beyond today's lesson. I don't want to subgroup stuff. Ad-libs can be quiet. I just want them in the background, just kind of little filler stuff. And then finally, let's get these haze in here. The haze, I don't think the haze really reached a stride until we got to over here. So I'm going to delete all this stuff here. And what I'm going to do with these is I'm going to chop these up. Let's get rid of this one though. I'm going to use my slip mode to get rid of this little guy right here. And with these haze, I'm just going to go ahead and get in here and delete all this like silent stuff in here. There is a shortcut for doing this, but we're going to talk about it another day. It's called strip silence if you want to learn more about it. But just for now, I'm just going to go in and highlight and get rid of these. So we have that there like that. Don't really need to be too perfect about it because they're not going to be super loud. Now, I've got these as individual parts here, and I'm going to go ahead and make a few left and rights of these. I'm going to duplicate this a few times. But actually, instead of duplicating, I'm just going to make a few new audio tracks here. Let's make, let's do this 4 times total. So let's have 3 of these. And we'll call these, oh, I can't do anything with that right now. Okay, so audio 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm just going to go ahead and copy that. We're going to go to the next one over here. Tony Hay 02, paste, Tony Hay 03, paste, Tony Hay 04, boom. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use, we haven't talked about this yet, but we did mention it yesterday, is relative grid. Now, this is a perfect example for relative grid because what I want to do is I want all of these haze to kind of be in different places so it gives the appearance of recording it multiple times. But I'm being lazy about this really. I should just re-record it, but let's say my singer left for the day and I don't have time to re-record it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and grab these and let's just rename this one number 1. I'm just going to double click here, number 2. It only works if you have the name turned on for it. 4. And what I'm going to do with these 5 is I'm going to rotate them around 6, 7. Whoops. Hey, 7. And we're going to use this relative grid here to make sure they line up in the same place. So I've got 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to drag this down, and you notice that when I'm dragging it in, it actually keeps it in the same place relative to the grid lines. Just watch me do this a few times. So I'm going to down this like this, 1, 2, 3, 1, 4, 5. Here we're going to use like this. You notice how I'm just kind of putting them so they all are shifting around here, which should sound pretty organic here. Here let's put a 1 over here. Let's put a 3. Right here, boom. Let's put a 4 over here. Let's put a 6 at the end over here. Let's put a 7 here. Let's put a 5. Yeah, good. Just as long as they don't have the same numbers on top of each other like this. And what I'm going to do is, and you notice because I'm using relative grid, I don't have to worry about where it is within the bar, which is pretty darn cool, right? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and turn all of these down a good amount. And this would be a really good time for doing subgrouping, but I don't want to talk about subgrouping quite yet. I want to leave it as a mystery. It's like like, how does your body work? We'll tell you after the break, okay? Because the reason why I don't want to tell you about subgrouping yet is because I want to give you something to come back for. Ha 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 ha. Just kidding. It's just, I just don't want to put too much stuff in your face right now. Okay, and I'm going to pan these hard left and hard right, and then mid, and mid here. And you can even have more of these. Let's hear what this sounds like. Hey, my dog. Okay, let's go. Hey, my dog likes to swim. Hey, my dog likes to swim. Hey, my dog likes to swim. I got a very swimmy dog. Awesome. So that sounds pretty cool. I mean, obviously there's no effects on any of this stuff right now. Yeah, I don't have any effects on anything. And we're sounding pretty good. It's sounding like there's a lot going on here, like starting to sound like a real recording, a real professional recording. Because the thing is, if you've been watching a lot of videos or watching people talk about their recordings and stuff with professional recordings, one thing you may have noticed is that there's a lot going on. There's a lot more than what you think. And it was something that really fascinated me when I first started to see this. Like, wow, it sounds like there's just a little bit happening, but there's a lot of doubling that happens with this, with everything, even though we don't really notice it necessarily. And that's how you turn production from a good demo, like a pretty decent demo, into an actual professional recording, a professional production here. So I'm going to go ahead and make these green. Hold on, let's go ahead and color code these. One thing you'll notice is that I'm really, really big on color coding. I think it's major important. There we go. Not that color. Yeah, cool. All right, so always my vocals are always a green color, and then we're going to talk about like subgrouping and stuff like that another time. So now we can see I've got a lot going on here, but I didn't actually have to record very much. I recorded just as a group, like using the loop mode record, or using it as like, you know, over 12 bars with just this loop kind of going on. Let's listen to it one more time. My dog likes to swim. My dog likes to swim. My dog likes to swim. I got a very swimmy dog. My dog likes to swim. Cool. My dog likes to... Awesome. Sounding pretty good to me. That little swimmy dog is a pretty special little creature. All right. What we're going to do here is we are going to stop for a second. We're going to take a break here. This is a good time for a break. Let's take a... We've been here for a while, so let's do 15 minutes. It is now 11:30. Let's come back here at 11:45 to Twitch. We're going to do another 15 to 30 minutes talking about mono versus stereo audio tracks. And then let's see and importing audio to make sure we know how to import audio and stuff like that. We're going to talk about that stuff after the break. What I would say to do is any kind of questions that you've got, go ahead and put them into the chat, and we'll have them after the break, so that we're not like, there's no like lag or anything like that. Okay, cool. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording right now.